for 5 minutes of questioning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I'm very happy to follow up on that quite remarkable statement from Mr. Bensman. Let me ask you something, Mr. Bensman. Do you think that the more than 400 mass shootings in this country this year could also be avoided if we had universal background checks, if we did not sell weapons of war to civilians, if we had safe storage laws, if we had common sense gun legislation? Is it your view that every crime that's committed by an American citizen is not avoidable and therefore we should just accept it? I appreciate my colleague from Mississippi pointing out 4 incidents, the 4 articles that he cited of really terrible crimes that happened to be committed by people who were not here lawfully. But I don't see you giving us any headlines about the more than 400 random mass shootings that we have had in this country. And why are we talking about isolated incidents that you have to point out from 6 months ago when we have 2 mass shootings every day in this country? Why is it only the crime that happens to be committed by people who are not here, somehow that you care so much about, and yet all of the devastating crime that is committed by people who are here doesn't matter? Because we don't ever talk about gun violence in this committee. We bring up, as my colleague from Rhode Island did, the fact that 500,000 guns are reportedly exported to Mexican cartels, because in Mexico they only have 1 gun shop that takes months to actually buy a gun, so the cartels cannot actually get the guns from themselves. They get them from the United States of America. They get the weapons of war, the assault weapons, from American manufacturers who then funnel them to the cartels so they can control the fentanyl trade, they can control the border smuggling, and they can control and devastate communities both within their country and those trying to get into this country. So if we're really going to talk about border security and we're going to talk about the crime that those who are coming across, let's talk about the crime. The notion that comparisons of crimes committed by those who are here unlawfully and those who are here lawfully is bogus because it's all avoidable is the biggest bunk I've ever heard. Crime is crime. We got to be preventing crime of all sorts. And people have a right to escape persecution and gang violence and authoritarian governments from their own countries and come to this country to seek refuge in the United States of America, as we have been doing forever. And I will add for my colleagues, I come from New York City. In the last year, there have been more than 90,000 migrants who have come to New York City. And I'm not sitting here to cast blame as to how they got there. I'm only pointing out that they are here. And we are proudly sheltering them, feeding them, vaccinating them, helping them get on their feet so that they can pursue the American dream as so many of our ancestors did. But do you want to know something? You talk about crime. There has not been a single violent arrest in New York City from any of those more than 90,000 people. Not one. So you find me any other group of 90,000 people and no violent arrests, I challenge you. You can't do it. Because what they want is to come here and work. And what Mr. Beer has been talking about is that those migrants who are coming here to work benefit our economy. And you know why they do? Because we have a workforce shortage. We have businesses who are desperate for labor and they can't get labor. These people, if they were given the opportunity to work, would become part of our communities, would pay taxes, would boost the economy, would take jobs that Americans are not taking. All of that would help our economy. But instead, we are here focusing on red herrings and completely tangential issues that don't get to the core of the problem. I had a lot of questions to ask, and obviously I have not, but I look forward to a second round because I get very frustrated when we're up here grandstanding and we're not actually working to address the real problems that we're facing. Mr. Chairman, thank you for your indulgence, and I yield back.
The gentleman yields. I now recognize my colleague, Mr. Bishop from North Carolina.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sometimes I don't like the topic.